Well, time for a little update. It's been quite a while since I did one. Um, I've been working on stuff all the time. It's just haven't really had anything of significance to show because what I've been working on is basically struggling with the tune. But to get you caught up a little bit, I did have to send the supercharger away to be fixed. Something did go through it from probably a year and a half ago when I had those engine problems. Possibly like a tip of a spark plug may have went through it, but something did go out. Looks like go out the exhaust and then come up the EGR valve, which is attached directly to the supercharger, and got into the supercharger and then went around and basically destroyed the rotors and a bunch of the inner workings of the supercharger. So I contacted VMP. They don't really fix them. They sell them and they manufacture them, but they're not prepared to fix them. So they put me in touch with a place called Superchargers Online out of California, and they are the ones that they said can fix them would fix it for you. So I sent it out there. Unfortunately, the rotors were destroyed, which was the most expensive part. The only thing they were able to save is the housing, which was a little messed up, but they were able to sand it down and kind of fix it. So the bearings and the rotors, basically everything had to be replaced. So that was kind of expensive. And so I got that back, and then was just, like I said, been dealing with a bunch of other issues. I kind of rerouted a little bit of the fuel system so that it now goes out from the regulator, out and splits out into a Y and goes into the back of both rails instead of into the front of one rail and then going over to the other rail. So it feeds both rails simultaneously. So that should prevent any kind of fuel pressure drop in theory. That as it would go from one rail into the other. I did also send the fuel injectors out, 4 of them on the passenger side that were easy to get to. I did send those out and had them to a guy that I found in HP Tuner Forums, which has a machine that you can put you can put the injectors on. It will run them and then spit out the data, the pulse width, the high, the low, basically all the data you need for tuning purposes. And it was the high setting was close, but a bunch of the other settings were a little ways off, the low and the pulse width and some of that kind of stuff. So went ahead and made those adjustments. Then when I got it back, and also have still been messing with the tune. Like I said, been struggling with the tune to try to get the injector cut to stop happening. Finally, I believe we got that figured out. Another gentleman's been helping me, was able to figure that out. And we just happened to be kind of working with some different settings in the tune, and I had made some changes, or we'd restarted with a bass tune again, and then had been kind of modifying or whatever, made some changes, and all of a sudden it went away, and then I put things back, and then the injector cut came back. So I just kind of went through a couple settings at a time and narrowed it down to one specific setting that was causing, or seems to be causing, the issue, because every time I would put that setting back to what I had got from the gentleman that was helping me from Poland, that was helping me do the tune, it would do the injector cut. I put it back to the factory setting, and it would not do the injector cut. So did some more testing with that, and that seems to be accurate. I can prove it, go back and forth, and that's what happens. I let the guy from Poland know, and he says he tried that setting at one point, but it did not make a difference. But now it does, and whether that's with the other injector data stuff or whatnot, I'm not sure. But that does seem to be resolving the issue. So been working on that, and thought maybe we were on track with something, but I was still getting a lot of random misfires. And then eventually the other day, it actually tripped, saying number 4 was giving misfires instead of just random misfires. So I got 2 new coils, even though it was just number 4. I thought, well, just to be on the safe side, I'll replace 3 and 4, so the one right next to it. So I have replaced 7 and 8, and also 3 and 4. So I just got 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 left. So who knows? I may end up replacing all the coils at some point. I don't know if they had issues from the accident or whatnot. But so that's kind of where that was at. with that. And then when I was going around checking for the random misfires, I pulled all the spark plugs except number 8, because that one's behind the battery and it's kind of a pain. But I pulled the rest of them over here on the driver's side. Everything looked fine. I was just going to pull a couple of them on the passenger side, but I ended up pulling the first 3. And when I pulled the third one out there on the passenger side, number 3 there, it came out super easy and everything looked okay with all the spark plugs. But when I went to put it back in again, it was acting like it was stripped out and stuff like that. So that was the cylinder head, or the spot that when I did have the problems, that the valves busted off on, and that was one of the cylinders that I did have to have. I was going to have re-sleeved when I just decided to do them all. So that spark plug did have a problem. I did have to kind of put a breaker bar in to get it out. That whole spot was messed up. I thought when I sent the cylinder head off, or that cylinder head off to be fixed and stuff, I kind of thought that he would basically kind of, weld it shut basically and then like retap it. But I don't know if that's not what he did, and he ended up putting like a Healy coil in maybe or something. But something got messed up with that spot, and it was acting like it was stripped. So I went ahead and got a Healy coil that was specifically designed for spark plugs. So it's not the traditional one. It's kind of like a spring. When you put it in, it kind of spreads apart. This one's specifically designed for spark plugs. So it's almost basically like the tip of a spark plug that's been hollowed out. And so you get the little tool and retap it slightly bigger. Then you put that in, and that threads in, and then you thread the spark plug inside of that. So it basically goes a little bit bigger and then reduces it back down. So hopefully, because that's designed to do that, basically, like I said, it's like a hollowed out spark plug that screws in, and then you screw the spark plug into that. Hopefully that'll hold up to the boost and everything will be okay. So it took quite a while to get that done, but I did finally get that done. I also, as you can kind of see here, hoping that I'm not going to be pulling the motor out again, that we are closing in on getting it to run. I went ahead, and a friend of mine stopped over the other day, and we went ahead and he helped me, and we got the hood put back on, and I switched out to the struts instead of the prop rod. So I just got to get the vents in and check them to make sure the clearance is good, and cut them down if they're not. And right now it is running lean when it starts up, but then once it gets up to temp, about 170 or so, it does start to run more as it should, and run just a touch on the rich side. So I'm going to see if that was a misfire issue, or if we need to work on the startup enrichment, type settings as far as that goes. But so that's kind of a little bit of a longer update. But like I said, I had a bunch of little things, but not anything really significant to show you. And like I said, a lot of it's just been fighting with the tune and trying to figure out what's going on and why it doesn't want to run right, or idle right, or that kind of stuff. So just been kind of struggling with that, but hopefully closing in on some issues with that, hoping that some of the idling issues and stuff may have been, some of the misfire stuff potentially, then that's not hopefully resolved. But just wanted to give an update. I know, like I said, it's probably been a good, couple months maybe since my last one, but like I said, just not anything really much to show as far as any kind of stuff that was going on. So I had been kind of waiting, but since there has been a significant amount of stuff, and I'm hopefully closing in on the issue, just kind of wanted to give an update there. So thanks for watching. Bye.